Welcome, everyone, to Real Show number 7. I, of course, am Freddie Fame alongside me, the man himself, Hobo Hank. How are you, Hank?
Yeah, that's not the way to shorten that name for sure. What's going on there, Fred?
I was
Freddie
trying to work
Fame.
that one all week. That was my
That's great. It's not going to get much better than that, folks. Might as well shut her down
just
now.
Tune out now. It's all over. Thank you for joining us on the live stream. We're a big fan of everyone who does. If you're with us watching, say hello. If you're watching us on Facebook, let us know. YouTube, or my personal Facebook celebrity page. Is that a real sentence? I can't believe I said that out loud. But yeah, if you're a part of Duke City Championship Wrestling, we like to hear from you because we wouldn't be doing it without you. We are recapping our fourth episode. Oh my God, we're up to 4. We're recapping the 4th episode of Duke City Championship Wrestling. We need to name our TV series. We haven't done that yet. We need a plan.
Yeah, maybe we can have our fans jump on there and give us some.
Yeah, we need to
ideas.
put something out, do a poll or something. Friend of Duke City Championship Wrestling, Gabe, saying hello. What is up, Gabe? He's saying, well, all right, so he's saying hello to you, Hobo Hank, not me. Zero interest in saying hello to me.
Well, to be fair, he says, "What's up, Ho Hank?" So thanks, Gabe. Thank you. Appreciate that.
I hope there's a Ho Hank sign on August the 17th at the historic El Rey Theater. I hope
that catches on.
You've gone 27 years avoiding that.
Yeah,
it's all super ruined. You and I
should have retired last year. Should have called it a day.
Okay, stop that. We got a fun weekend coming up. We're going to go to bare knuckle fighting tomorrow night. That's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to support John Dobson, who's been such a support of Duke City Championship Wrestling, big championship match. We're going to meet with a couple industry people. I guess we made a little bit of a buzz, so we're excited about that. Also, there's some other organizations around town now, so congratulations to the rebirth of pro wrestling here in Albuquerque. Let's go on that.
You bet.
I'm incredibly excited for just like the really positive energy that I'm finding from everyone. So yeah, just a fun renaissance of pro wrestling here in Albuquerque. We're starting off the Real Show with our latest episode. We titled it Ladies Night, Hobo Hank. We did that because it was
previously on
the start of women's wrestling, obviously the very accustomed to now. Fernando voiceover starting the program, and what he does is he recaps the previous episode so that everyone coming in is familiar with what's going on. And here's some highlights of you and Veronica Vega mid-ring, and this to me is still, we mention I think every time, just a really clever way to start off our episodes to make sure everyone's caught up.
Yeah, I agree. I think I wish more organizations did this, even the big ones. There's times when you just can't tune in week after week, and it doesn't take long to get lost. So I love the recap, and it just kind of sets the tone, right? Gets you in the mood for some wrestling and kicks off the show in a cool way.
Yeah, not so bad at all. It's great to be a pro wrestling fan right now in the city of Albuquerque, says friend of Duke City Championship Wrestling, Gabe. We agree completely with that. Gabe watching us on the YouTube live stream, Joe. What I like so much about that is YouTube subscriptions have really gone through the roof. Eliza Hayes here with Fernando Gonzalez. This is a fun backstage vignette. I was part of this production in the back. Couple perfectionists right here. They made sure they put the right amount of work into getting this thing on air.
Thank you so much. I am stoked.
Yeah, I love this. This is the first time we get to see Eliza on film, and I think last time we were talking, I just love that set. I love the way the raw. The brick background there and the one light, it just looks so cool. And that is what a lot of our performers see right before they go out to the ring. So it's kind of a cool backstage shot.
Fun little lower third here, making sure everyone knows all the characters involved, and the reception of Eliza really good. Joe, I was really happy with the way the audience received her. We introduced her that very night of the recording, and she went out, kind of went over, I thought, immediately with the crowd, which I was super happy about. And then the match itself was just all substance. There wasn't a lot of rest holds. There wasn't a lot of time throughout, and we'll jump ahead just the littlest bit here and get you into action. So as Eliza comes out, she's got the look. She came ring gear ready. That is TV ready if I've ever seen it. How impressed were you with Eliza and her debut here in Albuquerque?
Oh, I got to meet Eliza at our very first DCCW show. She came up to us. Yeah. She had been in attendance and kind of told me her backstory. And I had her send me some tapes and some headshots. And I was impressed right out of the gate, and I knew I wanted to get her on the show. And then the debate in my own head started. How do I kick off women's wrestling?
Mhm.
Wanted to do something just a little bit different. Didn't just want to throw them up on a poster and say, "Here's a match," because I knew how much the wrestling fans in Albuquerque had been asking for women's wrestling. So I thought this was a really cool way to kind of do it. Just make it a impromptu style match where Veronica Vega was not necessarily ready to wrestle this night. And it was just a great way to get these two ladies in the ring to kick it off.
Good juxtaposition here in the characters as well. Eliza Hayes coming out, having a little bit of that 80s flower child, or maybe daughter of a flower child, kind of fun, rainbow bright kind of look. And then Veronica Vega coming out, obviously clad in black. She's the classic heel, but doesn't even bother to put ring gear on. Like she's got boots that go all the way up to her thighs. Like there's just a juxtaposition between good and evil here, that if you know nothing about the storyline, you know who you're rooting for and you know who you're rooting against.
Yes, again, classic storytelling, characters that read quickly. Doesn't take a genius to walk into the room and figure out what's going on here. So, and both ladies, just great in the ring. I know you guys allude to some of Veronica's training during the broadcast. She was training with Dory Funk Jr. So, and then Eliza Hayes coming from Florida. She's got a great background out there, a lot of experience. So, I was as calm as could be in the back, knowing that the crowd was in good hands.
Eliza also worked for a DCCW in Florida. She had told me about that. We connected over the week. The list of pro wrestlers, Eliza included, who are going through our official merchandiser, which is the ABQ Dukes, to pick up new gear. And we're talking what? We're talking merch. We're talking apparel. She's on that list now, and I know you Hobo Hank did as well. And how fortunate I am to be able to connect with some of our performers when talking about the business aspect of this. Kind of the way we have the pie sliced is, you're kind of over control of all the entertainers, all the pro wrestlers, and maybe it's a little bit more the business side for me, I guess. But yeah, just a banger personality. Was telling me about her family, was telling me how excited she is to be here in the area, and her social media presence on Duke City Championship Wrestling is it's been impactful, I think, for us, and I'm just very excited to work with Eliza for some time.
So am I. Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad that she moved out of New Mexico, and I'm even more glad that she got in contact with us so quickly. Just one of those things, right? The stars lined up. She just got here. We just started on the scene, so perfect timing. And I'm looking forward to next Thursday very, very much. We've got her, and she'll be facing off against Valentina Loco, who's making her return to Albuquerque.
Right.
So I know the fans are going to be excited to see both of them, and it'll be a whole different match, right? We have two fan favorites facing off in there. So probably not a lot of rule breaking, and it'll probably be a lot more of a technical style match. And I think that'll be cool to see that for the first time in in our women's division here.
And we haven't necessarily created that, right? Like storyline yet. We haven't necessarily put two opponents against each other that would be heavily cheered on both sides. So I think it will be a lot of fun to just see how organically that spreads throughout the historic El Rey Theater. And then obviously what those performers are able to do with it. Because, I mean, you've been in the ring a million times over. It's a different story to tell when it's, face versus face as opposed to, the classic good guy, bad guy matchup.
Absolutely. It changes the whole dynamic of the match, the dynamic of the crowd. And, just for me anyway, I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but anytime I've been in those situations, I definitely I left it up to ad-libbing more than anything, because you don't want to assume what the crowd is how they're going to react to everything, as much as you would in just a classic face heel style match. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And along those same lines, Fred, we got that same night we'll be kicking off our tournament to announce our first ever DCCW heavyweight champion. So we'll have 8 wrestlers competing in the first bracket of that tournament. So we'll have 4 matches for that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a bracket style tournament. So there too, you may see some folks facing off that, you may see a heel versus a heel. You may see friend versus friend. So you never know how that's going to shake out as well.
And I think the presentation, that'll be fun too. We haven't necessarily put a nail in every single part of this coffin on how we're going to present the matchups, but I think it'll be received well by the audience in attendance. I think obviously the TV product will do really well because of it. So excited for that. I do like this. Eliza was just a fish to water. Like you saw it throughout the match. You saw it with her in the crowd work. I know she had some merchandise sales. She was really excited about that. And that's the fun part of this program that we do, where we can kind of talk about the back of the house stuff. But there were more than a handful of ladies in attendance and young kids, and they were all big fans of Eliza.
Yeah, she came out in a big way. I loved everything about it. The entrance, the music. I loved the look, the little twirling of the flower there. The interview was great. I think she's going to have a great following for however long we're running here. So
this is fun here. So you saw there in the lower third is Fernando's interviewing Lord. We called him Michael Taylor on the lower third, and he was being billed as Mitchell Taylor throughout, from the public address. And I keep a series of notes on who the wrestlers are, where they're from, and his name was Mitchell on there as well, or excuse me, Michael on there as well. So throughout the broadcast, I didn't know if he was ribbing us on coming to town and not giving us his actual name. I didn't know if it was a last minute decision. So throughout the broadcast, I make mention of, you're not just a heel in the ring. You're a heel through all aspects of pro wrestling. And Lord Taylor put one over on me in the broadcast position.
Yep. We'll just stick with Lord Taylor for purposes there, because we don't know, right?
Right.
We've got both. Yeah, man, I was excited for this match. I hate to say that over and over, but I was excited for all the matches this night, and to see him in the ring. He flew halfway across to be with us that particular night. He had never wrestled in New Mexico before, but he has. I forget. I hate to misquote. He said he's been in the wrestling business right around 20 years. So he's been in a long time, and after I saw his tapes and kind of what he brought to the ring, I knew Mosh Pit Mike was the perfect guy to put him in. And again, it's almost black and white, opposites attract kind of thing here, and I think it worked out pretty cool.
Well, and you'll see it as we get to the match, but I think aside from the main event, which is our next episode of Duke City Championship Wrestling, aside from our main event, I think Lord Taylor really stole the show. He did a full on, and I think I've mentioned this before on this broadcast or something else you and I have done together. It was a full embrace of a Larry Zbyszko style, just stall to start the match. There was, and like I said, we'll see it here on the highlights, but there's just a lot of psychology in that I was just so very impressed with, because I didn't know it was coming. From my broadcast position, I'm ready for this thing to go, and I'm ready to call action, and I know the main event is coming up, and adrenaline's a little high, and he was able to not press reset, but he was able to stall it all and make sure that attention was on he. So it was, if I were to give a performance of the night, it might go to Lord Taylor as he was a special level against Mosh Pit Mike.
Absolutely. And I love this about DCCW. So, I've always been a fan of that kind of wrestling, the old school wrestling, again, the over the top characters, and then just the ring psychology, and being able to, have notes, but not a script, bullet points, if you will, and allow these guys to be who they are and do what they do. Whereas, I think when you and I started becoming fans of wrestling back in the 80s, that was kind of the tail end of that. And that's what we fell in love with and started to grow up with. And then as we got into the 90s, that's when, the writers started, and I mean, there was heavily scripted promos and matches, and much tighter TV times, 4-minute matches and things. And so, and I think the argument there is that it doesn't, quote unquote, it doesn't play well on TV, to have these types of matches where, there's not a lot of action at certain points, but man, for the storytelling aspect, I think you lose out so much. And so I'm so excited to be able to help produce a television show that has those elements in it, because that's the wrestling that I love. Not everybody's going to love it. I get it. But when you see it done well, it's masterful.
There's something, and it's this pomp here, right? It's the circumstance. It's the throwing the robe on the official. The no offense to the crown, it's just not a nice crown. There's this presentation of royalty and importance. And Merrick doesn't want to give up the microphone. Hey, by the way, we got some new mic flags, so we're gonna have DCCW branded mic flags at the next show. There's always like little changes, we're plus oneing everything, but the way that Lord Taylor here brings the audience in and he introduces them as a third character, allowing them to react for, it was minutes on hand here. I thought it was a master class of heel work. I was very impressed.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's obviously been doing this a very long time. And anytime I can bring him back to Albuquerque, I certainly will. I'd sure love an opportunity to get in the ring with him myself. I think that'd be a fun one.
I agree completely. And this here is going to take a moment. I've watched this back, obviously. And we had a good we had a good terrestrial showing on Comcast Channel 26 last week. I got a lot of feedback on it that was really positive. YouTube channel is doing very well, Joe. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm overly impressed by just how many streams and impressions we're getting this episode specifically. Fans were excited to see the ladies wrestle. No doubt in my mind. I know Mosh Pick Mike brings his own fan base. Lord Taylor undoubtedly did his fair share of promotion. So big thank you to all of they. We didn't really talk about Veronica Vega. We had her on an episode of The Real Show. Good performance by her in the first match. And speaking of, we're meeting with a handful of the Lubbock guys tomorrow to have a conversation about just how much of an impact Duke City Championship Wrestling could have, not just here in New Mexico, but throughout the Southwest.
Yeah, we sure are. We'll be meeting up with them tomorrow night, and looking forward to talking some business and seeing what the future holds. Maybe a couple opportunities for some cross promotion.
Little fun one too is Mosh Pit Mike comes out. He's just a high energy dude. At America ring announcer at the last event, I met Adam's lady. I met Adam's significant other, and pro wrestling had been, if we're not pulling punches, obsolete from New Mexico for some time. It had not been in the Albuquerque area in an official capacity, and Adam Merrick doesn't slum. Adam Merrick is the best of the best as it comes to broadcasters and ring announcers in professional wrestling. And Adam Merrick's significant other had never seen him perform. She had never seen him get in the ring and get on the microphone and excite the crowd. So I was able to catch up with her before the event and then after the event. And she may have been the most excited fan in the entire venue. And I'm not going to say anyone's name because I didn't ask permissions, but it was kind of a fun thing to see that stage, from all different aspects is consumed and enjoyed by so many.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm sure she's enjoyed it over videos and memories and pictures and things, but it's a whole different deal to see it live. And yeah, he's fantastic. I've said it before. When we put this thing together, aside from a couple of really close friends, Adam Merrick was the first phone call I made.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I wanted him in that ring with that microphone. So glad to have him be such a huge part of what we're doing.
Speaking of, we're working on a handful of improvements. We met outside. You kind of see in this shot here. We're going to do, if all technology goes well, we're going to do like a video board here in the background moving forward. So really excited about that. We have a projection idea. We haven't been able to really set it up and make sure it's executable yet. But as soon as we can, we will. So we're going to kind of add a little bit more value there. This is what we're talking about with the brass knuckles and the just what theater this is, and don't throw that into the stands. It's gone forever now. Oh,
you see in every, how many matches have you seen hundreds of times where the referee comes and checks the wrestler and they find nothing. And
right.
I've seen it just a handful of times in my entire career, but where they actually find something. And I've never seen it taken to this level where, Jeff pulls out everything but the kitchen sink here. He finds 15 different weapons before we ever even ring the bell, and I love it.
Well, and I don't even necessarily know how aware Mosh Pit Mike was before this, because his reaction to every single one is like it's like when you're a kid and your parents keep telling you have like another chore to do. It was like he was just so disappointed over and over again. And then he was like, okay, now we're ready to go. And that was taken away. And it's it's like a 3-ring circus with 4 different performers in it. And yeah, Lord Taylor, something special here.
Yeah, let's not forget about that the third guy in the ring right there, Jeff the ref, right? He's doing a great job with this. He's reacting the way he should and making sure to show every weapon that comes out, and a couple great shots from our ProView team.
They're all
getting
over.
the close ups and actually letting the viewers at home see what's going on in the arena. I love that. Look at that.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of kind words that you often give, Jeff the ref right here with us on the live broadcast. So Jeff, thank you so very much for being a part of Duke City Championship Wrestling. Jeff shot me a message the other day, and he was like, "Hey, talk to me a little bit about critiques. Talk to me a little bit about what can be done better or different, Duke City Championship Wrestling." And I don't want to sound uninvested. I don't want to sound like I don't have an answer for that question, but I tell you, Jeff is top tier. Like, Jeff can get this thing done.
He does a fine job in there. I've known Jeff, so we grew up literally. So Jeff the ref, Mosh Pit, Mike, myself, 11 years old is when we all met, and I've known him ever since. All three. So Jeff got into the wrestling, refereeing business. I don't remember exactly what year it was, but it was early 2000s for sure, because the first company I ever ran, he was the referee for me. So he worked out in with our training facility back then, and he's great at what he does, and I love Jeff's look. The bald head and the expressions and whatnot. I think he does a great job in the ring.
He reminds me of the principal from Back to the Future. Where it's like, okay, here's an authority figure. Like, you can see it. You know what we should do? This just came to me here as we're talking. And we'll go over to the ABQ Duke store and do this, and we'll have Steve Palmisano help us out. But with Jeff the ref's referee shirt, we should put the Duke City Championship logo on that bad boy. We should throw it on there, maybe in the upper chest. We should maybe do something big across the back. It might be kind of fun to just +1 the referee too. So let's make sure we get the right branding on those guys, because I think that might be a fun little nicety for not just the fans in attendance, but the broadcast.
Yeah, you bet. That's a great idea.
Yeah. Well, and you're not the only guy who thinks that's a great idea. So does Jeff the ref, who's joining us on the live stream. So how great that is. So, all right. So we're mid-match here. We're flying through this thing. You had mentioned the ProView guys. I'm, where I sit, I don't know, 5-6 rows back, right? And I got the full view, and I got a monitor in front of me. I'm a professional broadcaster, and next to me is the ProView guys. And as they're producing ProView networks, if it's Alden and Jay Pole are on like the Making It Go Round, and then they got the cameras guys there, they're laughing the entire time, Joe. Like, they are having so much fun putting this thing together, and they run replays for us and produce all that stuff live. And I don't know if I've seen kids in a bigger candy shop than the ProView guys, like, helping us with pro wrestling. So I'm incredibly impressed by them. Professionalism through the roof, but also, like, as a partnership and a friendship, they have those ships as well.
Well, that's cool. And I think that's why this production's coming out so amazing, because they are having a good time with it, and they're allowed to have a good time with it. And that's what this whole thing is about. I don't want to miss the opportunity, because you didn't mention it earlier, but I've just been so blown away by the YouTube views on some of these episodes already. I mean, the fact that we've got them going on the ProView network is huge. And, we've mentioned before that broadcast to over 1 million homes across New Mexico. But honestly, I didn't really know what to expect. A lot of times when you put up, videos of a wrestling promotion, you're lucky to get 100 views. And if you go back, I mean, our first full episode it's getting close to the 6,000 view mark. But every single 30-minute episode that we put out this month, I think the first one is almost to 1,000. The second one is in the 800s. This one that just went up last week is in the 700s already. So that's a lot of views, in my opinion, when you compare it to a lot of other organizations. So I couldn't be happier with just the participation and the reception from the fans.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Yeah, you're absolutely right. 6,000. I have the YouTube channel just up in front of me. And, next week, because obviously we have the program next Thursday, August the 17th, and this weekend's episode is the main event, you and Thunder and Phoenix and Charlie 50. I don't know how quick the turnaround is from that Thursday. So we're either going to release the entirety of this one in one full-length episode, or we're going to be on to the next one, kind of depending on how quickly we can get that bad boy turned around. But yeah, it's going to be a fun continuation. So regardless, the entirety of this recorded night, which was July the 15th, it'll come out in one long episode as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if that, collects a really large amount of views, because that's every wrestler being able to promote it instead of maybe just the ones that are featured throughout.
You bet. I got a message today, my Hobo Hank Facebook page. This is, and I'm going to butcher the name. I apologize, but this came from Pankaj Bot, I believe is how I would say this.
Okay.
The message says, you're the greatest pro wrestler, biggest fan from overseas. I love watching you wrestle. Please keep wrestling and keep us entertained. We love you, Hobo Hank, with a couple of hearts. And that's pretty cool. And I responded to him, and I couldn't be happier that what some of us here are doing locally is getting across the ocean, man. That's pretty neat, and uniting wrestling fans all over the world.
Well, I think you sent me a screenshot of a Duke City Championship Wrestling fan at an event in Japan over the weekend.
I did, yeah. So the friend of the show, friend of myself, his name is Mike Bison.
Yeah.
He's a huge wrestling fan. He was in attendance at the last event, and he's worked with some wrestling promotions before in some of his previous lives, and now he does a lot of things with conventions, and he films different conventions, and he helps stream and broadcast those. And he sent me a text yesterday. He said he was sorry he couldn't make it to our next event because he's currently in Japan working like a national Pokemon tournament, I believe it was. But he sent me a really cool picture of him standing in an arena in Japan, getting ready for a wrestling show there. I don't know if you can see it very well, but he's repping Duke City Championship Wrestling with his shirt. I thought that was super cool. I love to see that over there in Tokyo. So it's awesome.
Yeah, and this past weekend I went out to Detroit for SummerSlam, Joe. Because I do some stuff with the WWE as well. This isn't like my only adventure into pro wrestling. So I'm out in Detroit and I'm doing some SummerSlam stuff, and I'm wearing my Duke City Championship Wrestling cap. And it's I'm there in support. I'm not there just solely promoting our project, but it's every person I interact with. And it's people come from, at least for the big four. Because I go to the big four: the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series. They come from all over the country. So I'm interacting with Texas, and I'm interacting with Colorado, I'm interacting with New Mexico, and I'm interacting with Arizona. And these are people who love that fellowship. And if they're willing to travel to Detroit, I promise you they're willing to travel to Albuquerque. And how fortunate we are to be able to put a good product in front of these individuals that we meet throughout our journeys.
You bet. That's the one thing that unites us all, right? No matter how old or young or big or small. And, if we love wrestling, we love wrestling. And it's really cool, man. It's cool to it's always been cool to be a part of it. And now, being a part of it in this way is a whole different ballgame.
Moshpit Mike goes over here, and you'll have to jog my memory. I believe this is his first win in DCCW. I don't recall if he won the first time.
Yep, that's correct.
But the crowd was there in a really positive reaction. And, on the night of the recording, July the 15th, you're getting ready for the first tag team match in the history of DCCW. And as you're getting ready for that, you're not in the back watching this, right? Like you're working some character stuff. You're working some gimmick stuff. You're in the back getting ready. Was this on ProView the first time you saw this match, or were you kind of aware of everything going on as you were getting ready to go out and perform?
Well, to be 100% transparent as we are in this show, I was probably having a cigarette. That's my preparation routine. I like to stand outside by myself and just kind of smoke and enjoy the night air before it's time to go inside and get hot and sweaty. So I did not get to see any of the show until it aired. And but the night it came out, we put it up on the big screen in the bedroom, and we sat and watched them. We being my girlfriend and I, and she's a huge fan, and she's they're supporting us in so many ways, making merchandise, selling merchandise, helping set up for the shows. And she's watched every episode along with me, and she's my biggest fan and my most honest critic too. So love having her perspective on all of this.
Love that, Joe. Thank you for taking the time with me tonight. We always talk about 30. We're as close to it as we could possibly be. August the 17th at the Historic El Rey Theater. If you want to sit close to the ring, it's not going to be an option for you. Those are all gone. You and I get the daily tickets. We've sold a lot. We're on a really good path right now. There is some limited seating available, and I mean, like, if tomorrow is your payday, if Friday the 11th is your payday, do it tomorrow, because you're gonna get GA otherwise. And I think we have a really good GA. I mean, I like the table setup we have. I like the access to some stuff. But if you want an assigned seat secured to you, tomorrow is going to be your day for that, because this bad boy, I think we're going to be over the 400 number again, and we might be closer to the 500 number. And we're talking about a Thursday night, Joe.
Yeah, I've been watching the ticket sales. We sold a ton the first night. We went on sale the night of the event. We sold a lot, and it's just been pretty steady ever since. I'm not 100% sure. I know earlier to this morning I checked it, and I think we had 25 seats left, and I don't think there was that many this evening. So
right,
almost out. Yep, get them now. But like Fred said, if you do happen to miss out on a assigned seat, don't miss the show. We've got great places to stand up in the mezzanine area. You might catch a table if you get there early enough, and you still want to be part of the show.
A new championship themed t-shirt coming out for Duke City Championship Wrestling. So that'll be available. New merchandise. Obviously, we're introducing the hoodie. So the new hoodie, we heard everyone, it's coming. It'll be at our next show. So very excited to have the hoodie. You have some new merchandise coming out as well. All this stuff is right now kind of exclusive to the live show. We will start moving our merchandise, I believe, next month. So next month, our merchandise starts to move at locations around town. So we're excited about that. It's been a little bit of some hoops to jump through, I think is kind of the best way to describe that. But we're going to absolutely figure it out. So we're excited for that. Also, incentive to come early this 17th of August at the Historic El Rey Theater is Man High will be opening for us. So we're going to set everything up, and we're going to have live music right there at the El Rey Theater before we do live pro wrestling. So I'm very excited about that. I'm going to see if I can get the guys to do a national anthem even. I think that'd be a lot of fun before we go. So it's going to be a full night of entertainment. This goes without saying. Big thank you to everyone who does embrace the social media presence. It means the world to us. Like, share. If there's an option to ever rate something, please rate that thing as high as you possibly are willing to do so. Please bring a friend to the event. This whole thing works because we're able to connect not just with the people that are passionate about it, but be able to make people passionate about it. It's important to us. Also, Joe, not to hijack the end of this program, I've kind of had like a left eye open on some other promotions here within the state or the surrounding states. Our interaction numbers are considerably higher. I don't know how else to say that without sounding of an arrogance. And that's not because of me, and that's not because of you and my radio job and your legacy. That's because of the fans. That's because of the people who support us. And I am so very thankful to all of them in every single capacity.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure over my career of wrestling in many, many states and in front of many, many crowds. And I've always said, not just to be hey, Mosh, that's a funny comment from Mosh, but Mosh always just gets there right on time.
Right.
Or possibly late. But thanks for being here, brother. Thanks, James Pittman, as well. Appreciate the accolades. Being Hobo Hank, of course, I got a decent reaction. But regardless of that, just for the whole shows I've ever been on, Albuquerque and general wrestling fans, they're the best fans, period. I've wrestled in Colorado, Utah, Arizona, Texas, Michigan. Not to say they're not great there too, but ours are just so much more passionate and supportive. So thank you to everyone who has been supportive so far and will be in the future, and just keep letting everybody know that Thursday night we're the place to be.
Mosh Pit Mike, before we go, says he's going to rewind and watch all the trash that I talked about him. I tell you what, it was limited trash. It was not. I mean, you get your first win. I didn't remember if you'd ever won before, but that's not trash talk. That's just factual. That's what I didn't remember. Consider it trash. Joe, final words before we wrap.
Nothing but love for Mosh Pit Mike from us.
Before we wrap up,
final words. Yeah, just everything we just said, 100% true. Every single show, we're going to try to plus it up, and in every way, merchandise, presentation, little things, surprises. Don't miss this show because again, it is the beginning of the tournament that will decide who our DCCW heavyweight champion is.
Right.
So if you miss that first the qualifier matches, you're going to be lost going into the second round. So also, high probability that we're going to have tickets available for the September show starting at Thursday's show. So if you want to get the best seats in the arena, you got to be there live to get them.
Yeah, you got to be ready to go on that, and it's more than a high probability. It's it's a certainty. Like, well, we're going to announce that for sure. So be ready for us there. Also, I think what I'm going to do is from Jeff the Ref, because I told you we're going to create DCC branded, Duke City Championship Wrestling branded like referee shirt. I'm gonna get something that shows off his guns a little bit more. We're going to tighten that thing up on him. We're just going to make sure his curves are being highlighted for the audience. I think it's important.
Well, let's be careful what curves we're highlighting. And thank you. Saw Carlos Candelaria chime in, man. Thank you for always being a huge supporter of us and chiming in. And I know you already got your tickets for the next show. We appreciate that, brother.
Hey, Moshpit Mike's trying to trick me in with the gimmick here. Says I don't know him well enough to know he's playing. Tell you what, I know when I'm being played. I know that for a fact. So very much thank you to everyone who is a part of this thing. Very much thank you to everyone who's part of the live stream. Hobo Hank, thank you so very much. Do not forget DCCW tickets. That is the place to go to get your tickets for the next event. That's August the 17th at the historic El Rey Theater as we kick off the road to the championship. Be there early, catch Mannheim. That's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to enjoy live music and entertainment from they. Also, it's a school night. We'll have you out before 10 o'clock. We promise. Get the kids home, get to bed, watch your preseason football or whatever you do. Joe, last words?
Not tonight, my friend. I think we were good, and I just appreciate everybody for all the support. I can't wait to see you live in the El Rey next Thursday night.
Good job, everyone. GG.